Hi, Simon here. Welcome to my brand new channel, Such Plants, and my very first video on that channel. With Ecuagenera opening up a pop-up here in South Africa this weekend, I decided to start this channel so that I could monitor some progress with these plants and also maybe be helpful to anybody else who's looking at importing plants and seeing how to do it. Just a disclaimer, I'm no expert. This is actually the first time I'm doing any importing of plants, so I'm just winging it, to be honest. I have watched quite a few videos to see what other people have done, and I've gleaned off of those the things that'll work for me, given my environment, and also given what equipment and products I have available to me. So take everything with a pinch of salt. I'll be doing update videos on these plants, so I'll do one probably after a week, then after a month, and then maybe 3 months and 6 month updates. For now, let's get onto that unboxing. So my plan with these plants is basically that I just got them home, put them into water, and left them like that for 24 hours just to rehydrate and see what we're actually dealing with. I found that although you'll see in the video a lot of the roots look really dry, I found that with them spending the 24 hours in water, they really did plump up and they looked a hell of a lot better the next day. I've tried to make the unboxing as short as possible, but it is quite a few plants, so it does drag on a little bit. Feel free to skip ahead to the plants that you are interested in seeing, and at the end I will do a 24-hour quick update on how I've potted them up and what I've done with them. The first plant I have is the Philodendron Mangotense. We get here in South Africa a plant that is called Mangotense or fuzzy petiole, but it definitely is different to this plant. Feels a lot meatier in the leaf. I'm interested to see the difference between the two plants actually. This plant's actually in pretty good condition. It's just got one yellow leaf here down at the bottom. And the leaves feel fairly solid. Let's just have a look at the roots. To be honest, the roots don't look in particularly great shape. The next plant is also a plant that I only got today, and it actually was on my list to look for today. I was hoping that they would bring it with them. This is the Anthurium pallidiflorium. The leaves on this plant are actually quite spectacular. Seems to be in fairly good condition. Has a new leaf starting to come through now. I'm not sure if that'll make it. These older leaves are starting to yellow. But this leaf is almost like a mixture between a shine and a velvet. It's like a very satiny kind of feel. It's a really stunning plant. And the roots on this plant actually also seem to be fairly good. Still quite fleshy and moist and white, so I've really got high hopes for this plant. It looks amazing. We have the Anthurium warwickwianum. I've ordered quite a few Anthurium, and it's not my speciality, to be honest, but I'm hoping that with some guidance from friends that I'll be able to keep these guys alive, and especially plants like this that tend to be generally a little higher care. This is the seedling size, so it is on the smaller side. The roots aren't bad. For the size plant, I think that's acceptable. So there we go. I've just put him in his own glass and he'll go into the pot chamber. The Philodendron Amazon Sunset. This plant I've heard ships really badly, so I'm a little nervous about what this is going to look like. So this is the first time I've ever done any imports, and I think my method that I'm going to use is that I'm going to pop them in water overnight, and then tomorrow I'll reassess, and I think what I'm going to do is just pop them up into perlite for a couple of weeks and then just see how they go root wise. And as soon as I see some new growth or some new root growth, what I'll do is I will pop them up into a really airy aeroid mix and keep them really high humidity through that time. That is disappointing. So the plant looks pretty good. The leaves, normally I see these guys arrive super yellow, and there is a new leaf unfurling at the moment, but these roots do not look very good at all. So we'll pop them in water overnight, see what happens. I have a feeling we are going to need to almost propagate this guy from scratch. So that'll be interesting. That is the reality of import plants, so that's why we pay a little bit less for them. This is the Philodendron undulatum. Please excuse my pronunciation of some of these names. What I like about this plant is the petiole is winged. Really nice leaf actually, and up there you can see that winged petiole. Okay, this plant has actually got quite a few roots, but I'm not sure how many of these are actually going to be viable. We'll see tomorrow once they've plumped up a little bit, but I am not feeling that positive about them. This is the Anthurium metallicum. I'm actually pretty excited about this. I love how massive these leaves get and how elongated they are. This actually also has a very beautiful new leaf coming through. It looks fairly healthy. Strangely enough, these Anthurium have come in looking like they've fared a little bit better than the Philodendron. This is a really pretty plant. I really like this. Wow. These roots actually look incredible. I think that this plant will definitely be able to be potted up once it's had a little overnight stay in a bucket of water. These roots look incredible. They really are nice and plump. I mean, look at this huge root over here. But yeah, I'm really feeling very positive about that. What a beautiful plant. Really, really cool. This plant, I can already see through the holes in the paper, is looking a little on the yellow side. So I'm a little nervous about what this is going to look like. Yeah. Those leaves are not very nice. Although this is a really nice plant, it does have a new growth point over here. I think that both of these leaves will probably not make it, especially this one here. He's not looking great, and he is definitely not looking super healthy either. I really do believe that most plants can be saved, even if not all their foliage makes it. Yeah, also not that great. I think I might actually, depending on what happens overnight, I might tomorrow take both these leaves off and also prop this into some perlite. I might, and also take most of these roots off. But I'm confident that he'll make it. It's the Anthurium veitchii. This I'm also really excited about. I got the Queen Anthurium, and then I thought, may as well get the King as well. We have the whole family. He's also seedling size. The Anthuriums really do seem to have fared a lot better than the Philodendron. He's looking really cute. Love those abs on that guy. Also some fairly decent roots on that. I reckon after a little bit of time he'll be able to be potted up. Okay, this is the Anthurium queremalense, and this plant looks unbelievably beautiful. I'm really excited about it, but at the same time I'm super frightened of it because I think this is going to be hard to care for. I know it likes cooler temps here in South Africa. I think we're going to be in trouble. And here we have our first real casualty leaf, and it's the newest leaf, so I'm not sure if this leaf was just a little bit too new to be shipped. You can see not the greatest there, so we'll definitely cut him off once I kind of sort him out. But these other leaves actually look fairly good. No issues with those. They look really pretty. That is gorgeous. Really loving these anthuriums. The roots on this anthurium are not looking quite as good as the others. The other anthuriums seem to be a little bit more hydrated. This bottom bit I'm also going to cut off, that's soft. So definitely going to give that a little chop and take that off. There is a new growth point here. It does feel a little bit soft. I hope it's okay. Okay, this plant was an afterthought plant. I just kind of happened to come across it as I was finishing up my second order. It's the Philodendron luxurians, and I really like the look of it. Look at that leaf. That is really just spectacular. Velvety, bright, and also a fairly large plant. This leaf has got some yellowing starting to happen, and I'm imagining that that will continue, and I'll probably lose that leaf. I'll probably lose both leaves, to be honest. These guys really don't like to be alive. These plants are crawlers, so it's quite interesting. It looks like it was crawling and then maybe got to the edge of a pot and started climbing, but it will be interesting to see how we're going to root this guy. Philodendron fibrosum. Quite excited to see this one. In the pictures it looked really nice. It looked like it had that like kind of mix between a shiny and a velvet leaf. He looks a little sad. Yeah, this leaf, this new leaf, you might pick up. That leaf is very yellow. Not sure that that's going to make it. This leaf looks okay. He definitely feels like he needs a water bath overnight. All these philodendrons seem to have come in with very similar roots, quite dehydrated, quite dry. The moss that's coming off them is not crunchy, so there is some moisture in them, but it's definitely more on the dry side than it is on the wet side. Those are the roots, as you can see, quite brown, very dry looking. Definitely needs to spend some time in water. I'm getting there. I think we've got 3 more, including this one. It's the Philodendron subversatum. This plant I actually bought by accident. It was on my list as I was going through. I added like a ton of plants to my list, and then I sort of whittled them down to the ones that I really wanted when I was first ordering. And this one somehow made it through when I thought I'd removed it. But to be honest, I'm not upset about that. It really is a very nice looking plant. Bright green leaves. I mean, I've got the regular histatum, which is the silvery grayish leaf. So this is quite nice to have this very bright green and then those bright red backs. This plant feels like it's going to rehab really well. It feels quite sturdy and quite hydrated. Roots are not amazing, but they're not the worst out of the bunch. As you can see, they're also looking a little dry, but they do feel maybe a little more hydrated than the other philodendrons. Philodendron pastosanum. Also, actually, it seems to be a much bigger plant than I imagined would come for this. Some more really yellow leaves and very long petioles on this plant. Although there is a really nice growth point coming up here. These petioles are crazy long. Wow. Okay, that leaf is definitely a goner. That leaf is probably a goner. That leaf is also probably going to go. There's definitely some yellowing there. I feel like maybe the crawlers will adjust better than the climbers. Who knows? I'm just guessing. Yeah, those roots seem fairly good actually in comparison to some of the others. They're not amazing either, but definitely a lot more roots, and they seem to be a little more hydrated. This looks good. Okay, even though the leaves don't look amazing on this plant, I am quite positive that with this root ball we will not have struggled to keep it going and keep it alive. And the last plant is Philodendron serpens. This guy has not shipped well at all. Definitely feel like I'm going to lose all of these leaves. I think even this growth point doesn't look fantastic. This plant I might have to propagate from nodes. I think I'm going to probably cut this guy up. I don't think there's anything worth saving. Let's have a look at these roots. Yeah, there's not much there. So I think definitely I'm going to pop this into the water overnight, but definitely tomorrow I will cut this guy into nodes and propagate in perlite. See if we can save a couple of them. And that's it. So we are now 24 hours down. I left the plants in water overnight. So these are the various methods that I've chosen to continue with the rehab process, depending on how those plants looked. All of the philodendron were not great in the root department. So what I decided to do with the philodendrons is basically pot them up into perlite and leave them like that in clear plastic pots for the next couple of weeks, so I can monitor what's happening there. This is what they look like when they have leaves left on them. This is the Verrucosum Amazon Sunset, and I've done the plastic pots so that you can see through it to those roots and monitor how they are doing. I use some rooting hormone and some micro root with these guys to encourage some healthy and vigorous root growth, and hopefully within a month we're going to see massive progress on these guys. They're all in a big plastic box with super high humidity, and they're all actually looking really good. I've been very happy with them. I was particularly concerned about this guy because I have heard that they do really ship very badly, and as you can see he's actually looking really good. So that's what I did with most of the philodendron. This is the SP Columbia. He had those two very yellow leaves, and so I've cut those both off and potted him up, and it's basically the same process with him. I'm sure without those two leaves he'll be in a hurry to grow this new leaf, and we'll monitor the progress on that. The Tenu, basically, although he looked pretty good when he came in, literally had no roots on him at all. So what I did was, the third node up from the bottom of the plant had one aerial root that had obviously dug down into the substrate at Ecuagenera and had some very minor soil roots. So I cut the bottom two nodes off and started with that third node that had very slight roots and potted him up in perlite. And then the other bottom two nodes I'm going to pot up separately, this one in perlite, and I'm going to do this one in water just as an experiment to see how they go and see if there is any difference in how they root. And then the last philodendron that is slightly different is the serpens. This plant I cut up into nodes. The top was really bad, and I have decided to just propagate these 3 nodes from scratch. So I've just put them into a small Tupperware with wet perlite, and I'm going to leave them in there until we see some progress. What I did with all of the anthurium, this is the magnificum, really great new leaf there. I potted these guys up. They all looked amazing. They had great roots and great healthy leaves, and perked up even more after being in water. And all I did was put them in a very chunky mix, also keeping them in very high humidity and monitoring and making sure they're all okay. So that is what I did with them after the unboxing. We will see how they go over the next week. I'll do probably an update video in a week's time and just see how we're doing. I'm sure we'll have a few broken and empty leaves and yellowing leaves, and then after that hopefully it'll be plain sailing. So that's it. If you've made it to the end of the video, thank you for watching. I just want to say hi to all my plant buddies that I met over the weekend. It was really fun meeting you all. Such an exciting weekend. Hope all your plants are doing well. Remember that I will be doing some follow-up videos on these plants, so if you are interested in how they're doing, please check in again.